accept them for me, please. First and foremost, thank you for joining us on a Friday evening. I know Fridays are sacred days of rest from the week. We are the Red Tent Movement, and this is our Authentically Me little workshop. First and foremost, who are we? I'll hand you over to Helen first, so she can introduce herself, and then I'll introduce me.
I look nothing like that picture today, but this is me. Okay, it's gorgeous to have you all here. Sorry, I just seen a little chat pop up. It's gorgeous to see you all. Some new faces and some of the old gang. Some regulars, which is gorgeous to see too. So quickly, a brief background about me is that I have a background in psychology and counselling. I'm trained in holistic therapies, things like Reiki. I'm a meditation teacher. One of my passions is children's wellbeing, which I do a lot of work alongside Lisa with, which is great. But in general, my kind of mission is to get people to really find that inner peace and enjoy this thing that we call life, enjoy the journey, and just make the most of it and really squeeze as much out of life as possible and enjoy it, because I think that we spend most of our life stressed, overwhelmed, full of anxiety because of a lot of external things. And for me, happiness and all that inner peace is managed within. So if we can find that within, it doesn't really matter so much what's going on outside of us. And a big part of that is just living really authentically and being at peace and happy with who we are as people. And that's me.
Thank you, Luffy. I'm Lisa, aka the Soul Rebel. The name came around from working in my Akashic records. So a lot of my childhood was spent being the good girl, doing what I was told, people pleasing, trying to be what others wanted. And that caused a huge conflict within me, which made me quite poorly, and going through that different types of pooliness, anxiety, depression, colitis, literally my body turning on me. I found holistic ways and reconnecting to spirit, which was a large part of who I have been basically since being a child. I played with energy. So I decided I wanted to use my pinpoints to help others. So I trained in hypnotherapy, different energy modalities, Reiki, Sakin, quantum breath, and used what I knew to help people aligned to their kind of soul self, who they were at soul level before they came into this world. So a lot of what I do is work on being the best version of yourself in this life and connecting to your soul's purpose and what you're here for, but also flushing through ancestral healing and any kind of healing that needs to be done from past lives. Because I think that we all came here genuinely with a mission, a reason to be here and help the planet move forward. And a large part of that, the first step, is our own healing. So in our own healing, that's the greatest gift we can give to the planet, to our families, to our children. So I hold space for people to find what that looks like and to heal those wounds, whatever those wounds are. So that's me and Helen. Together, we are the Red Tent Movement. Also, probably from the page, you'll have seen the Holistic Academy Network, which is our training arm of the business, where we train people in children's wellbeing, meditation teacher training, energy work, and various other modalities. But we came together to create the Red Tent Movement because we wanted a safe place for women to come and do that healing and that work to find their peace within and their soul's expression together without feeling judged. A lot of it for us was around sisterhood. For Helen and I, growing up, we both were quite similar, that we didn't have a lot of relationships with other women. We both had more relationships with men. We felt more comfortable with men. We didn't feel judged. Our relationships with women were quite toxic, and we both couldn't really understand why this was, why women weren't there for each other, why women weren't celebrating each other. And through a lot of reading and a lot of work, we found a lot of things on the witch wound and the mother wound and the fact that it's ingrained in us to distrust each other because of the patriarchal rule, because of the witch trials. So that was another reason why we thought it was imperative that we had this space so that we could bring women together and we could all heal together and learn to trust and move forward as one. And it's never been more needed, I don't think. Unfortunately, when things begin to change, people hold on to the old ways tighter than ever. And I think that's what's going on in the world at the moment with this massive opposition, and we're going to get where we need to be. So this space, thank you for being here, is helping towards that. Little mini rant from me there. So where are you from? Obviously we know Bex and Rachel because they've done work with us before. But Polly and Sharon, where are you from in the UK?
Just put my little heater on.
Oh, bless you.
Cool. Well, Sharon's saying it's a bit chaotic in her house right now, so she's not going to unmute, which is cool.
Yeah.
And Polly's just so do you think that we should move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Scotland.
And that really confused me because I just seen Sharon read the first bit, I'm from Scotland, but above it said Sharon's comment Leicester. Living in Leicester. Wowzers. That's cool.
Hiding the
You must sometimes, Sharon, that's the thing.
Is that not a mum thing?
Hiding in the bathroom.
We've always done that. I hid in the bathroom at least 3 times today and they still phone me.
Well, I'm going to mute. I'm going to hand you over to Helen. I'm going to ask you all to mute, please, because Helen is going to lead you in a lovely grounding meditation.
Can I just double check if I've got my little fan heater on, and I just want to check that that's not loud. Can we hear it or not?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Cool. I'm just going to put some music on anyway. Okay, so we're just going to do a little short meditation just to bring us together in this environment. Just going to double check that everyone's muted, which is awesome. Thank you. And if you just want to take a few moments to find a position that you feel comfortable within, just for a few moments together. Find a position that you feel comfortable. And if you feel comfortable to do so, you might want to just gently shut down your eyes. If you don't, you can allow a soft gaze, looking down, distraction free. And I'd just invite you to start by bringing your awareness inwards to your breath. I'm just focusing right here, right now, in this present moment, on your natural breathing pattern. Maybe choosing with every exhale to release any tension or stress from the day. Letting go of anything that's been stored in your body that's no longer serving you and you're ready to let go of. Maybe take a moment to check in with yourself and how you feel right here, right now, in this moment. And recognizing that nothing else needs your attention right now. All you have is this present moment, and I invite you to bring your awareness to this moment. Anything from the past does not need your attention for the next few moments, and anything in the future that can wait too. Just be here, in this moment, fully. Surrender to this moment. Just allowing your body to be still. And maybe in this stillness you notice your mind is racing, and that's okay. Allow those thoughts to come and go without delving into them, just staying centered. If you find that you become lost in thought, bring your awareness to your breath. Feel centered and grounded, here with me now in this moment. I invite you all to be here, whether you're here with me now live or you're watching on recording, in this safe and sacred space that we are creating together. Whether you're joining live or on recording, know that energetically we are all connected. Imagine that we're all in a safe, sacred circle together. I invite you to allow whatever comes up for you throughout this workshop to come up without judgment. Allow whatever flows, maybe take some notes. Just simply allow any feelings, thoughts, ideas, questions that need to come, just come up. Allow it all to be. Allow yourself to just be fully here with us. In this safe space, you can be your entire self with no judgment from anyone else. This is a safe space where you get to be you fully, where we love and appreciate and accept you for all your weird and wonderful ways. For your uniqueness, we will celebrate. Because here together, we all bring our own gifts to the table. And for that, me and Lisa are grateful for you showing up. And simply just allowing yourself to be you fully. I invite you now to feel anchored, like a magnet drawing your feet to the center of the earth. Energetically pulled towards the core of the earth. Connected to Mother Nature, like you are each and every day. But equally connected up to Source. And knowing that whatever flows through for you in this workshop is what you need to hear. But staying real centered in the core of your human being. While you're present with us here today. Trusting, being, and enjoying. I invite you to bring your awareness back to your body and this space that we share virtually together here now in this moment. Maybe bring your awareness to your toes and your fingers and give them a little bit of a wiggle. Perhaps moving your shoulders a little bit, your neck, your face. And when you feel comfortable to do so, just gently opening up your eyes.
Thank you, Helen. That was lovely. Just
Could
give
have
it
fell asleep then. If I hadn't had to talk, I would have fell asleep. Just so relaxed.
So just take a moment to come back, have a little drink of water if you have one with you. So this is obviously the Authentically Me, Authentically You mini little workshop. So we'd just like you to explore for a moment, what is authenticity? What does it mean to you? And just drop it in the comments. You can just write it down in the comments. You can talk if you want to, but drop it in the comments if you would prefer.
I think it's a word that's kind of thrown about a little bit, but as with everything, it's going inwards and thinking, what does this actually mean to me? What's my perspective? What's my take on this? And there's no right or wrong, it just is.
I will mute out there just because I can't type. My fingers have gone all funny from that. I think being authentically you is being your true self. So finding who your true self is supposed to be and learning how to tap into you and learning how to be what you're meant to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you, Rachel.
For me, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. For me, authenticity is about being whole and being real, being transparent and being open and honest. So, when I work with myself or with anybody else, it's as truly as authentic as you can get. So there's no, I don't put a mask on, be somebody I'm not, because I think that's what somebody wants to see. My adage, if you don't want the answer, don't ask the question.
Ooh,
It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and that sounds a bit, I suppose, in your face, but to me, this kind of work, you learn through. You were talking about hard times and coming through it, but I think when you learn through hard times, you shed off the bullshit, and you really know from there on that you need to put yourself in a place where you are safe and protected, but you're also giving that to everybody else. And if they can't take the truth of the matter, then you can actually see the negative vortex in that, and it's not what we need. We're not working from that center. We're whole and connected.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
and I think as long as our intention comes from the heart, like, that's all that matters, doesn't it? And I think that I totally agree, because I would much rather hear a harsh truth than any kind of pretty little lie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think there's a myth going around that you can't please everybody all the time. I don't please people. I work fairly and simply with very few rules, no judgment.
What do you do, Polly? I'm curious.
Me, I work for the NHS full time as an information governance officer, but for my sins, I am a completely qualified holistic therapist, and I've recently done the IEMT eye movement therapy, which also added on working with post-traumatic stress people with metaphors and drawing. I'm a hypnotherapist. I do Reiki healing, and I'm going to be doing Tibetan bowl gong master course from February.
Oh,
amazing!
Great contact to have.
So it's kind of moving forward. I want to retire next year, and when I retire, I've got my summer house out there that I've just got done, and that's going to be my little therapy room again, because I moved not so long ago and had to leave my old one behind. So for me, it's the start of a new beginning. For me, it's a fresh new start to rejuvenate a place where people can come and feel grounded, centered, whole, safe, and have a standing point to begin their journey.
That's beautiful, Polly. Absolutely beautiful. And
thank you. I feel really, really whole about it. There's too much bullshit. There's too much hurt. There's too much pain. and I'll allow somebody to sit there. And I've just started my business called The Confidence Tree, because it's about building confidence with people and allowing them to stand on something that's solid for the first time in a long time, and see how they can move forward. And I just think when you're rock bottom and you're in the safest, most solid place in your life, because it's the basis of rudiment and standing, and it's the standing stone of which you can build everything up.
Yeah. And you learn the most when you're down there as well.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think you realise how little you actually need to just be content. And actually, what a great foundation to then be like, there's no other way down here, so like, let's go up and choose that path, like an actual truth. What is my truth? And each step that you go, you building something that you are consciously creating, not just something that you kind of muddled your way through life and being given.
I think when you've been through hardship, it doesn't matter what it is, you do recognise that you do feel happy with who you are from within. And, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't bother anymore about having my nails done and getting my hair done. You know, what you see is what you get. It doesn't matter whether I've got all plastic bits on. I work from the heart, and this is who I am. And if you can't cope with that, the door's over there and close it behind you. And it's kind of like, but I've learned that. I suppose I'm old in my age, and, you know, but if anybody can learn anything, to realise that they can drop all that facade, and the majority of people they've got around them are there to fill the hollow. They're not there to always give them the friendship, because the people around you don't always give you that wholesomeness that you need. They actually strip you of your energy.
Yeah.
Oh, Polly, I feel like you're very inspiring. I feel like inspired. I do, I really do.
But it's just learning that, and it's just taking that first footfall to do it. It's like stopping smoking or not eating chocolate anymore, or, you know, it's been around you, it's been a comfort. And if I let go of that person, oh my God, I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to have a big gut. I'm not going to be able to do this. But it's what we need to do, and we do it at the right time, because when you do it, you then empower yourself and new things come into you, and you attract the people with the right energy that you need around you to give you that confidence and that empowerment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Polly. You're 100% right. And for Helen and I, that's exactly what we see authenticity is. And one of the reasons that we created this course was out of a real distaste at some of the coaching world and courses that are out there, where people stand from a pedestal of, I'm perfected now, I'm healed, so come to me and we'll get you to this end point. And Helen and I are like, there is no end point. This is a journey.
This is a journey. There's no destination to this journey.
Yeah.
Like, it's
unless you're on to the next life.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And this for us was just about being really authentic and transparent, and not just in terms of how we're showing up in the world, but how we choose our path in the world, and figuring out what our truth is, and kind of that inwards out and the outwards in as well.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much for sharing what authenticity is to you, because it is different for all of us. And living your authentic life is absolutely amazing. But getting to that takes work. And staying in that heart-centered space is gorgeous when you're in the flow. But again, it takes work. So thank you so much. So we're 3/4 of the way through the year. We just want you to take a moment to reflect where you are in terms of your connection to yourself, connection to your spirituality, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel you are in terms of being authentic within your life, living your authentic self and your authentic life? And again, just drop that in the comments if you want, or you can speak if you want to.
For Bex and Rachel, it might be great for you to think about this time last year, where would I have been on this scale? And right now, where am I on this scale?
That's exactly what I was thinking then.
Yeah, it would be great to see the progress that you've made through this year.
I was like a 1. I wasn't even a 1 last year. Like, I didn't have nothing. And I'd say I'm a 4-5 because I feel like I've got so much more. Like I'm doing Reiki now, I'm doing that first course, got my second course in January, but that's just the start. Like this is just the start. I know there's so much more that I'm going to do. And I don't know what it is entirely, but I know by this time next year, it's on my vision board, I will not be working where I work now. I will not be there.
I love the determination in your tone of voice, and it just gave me a little bit goosebumpy there, Rich, because I was like, oh my gosh.
Because I'm finally connected. It's taken me a year, but I'm here. Bex needs to tell us though. Bex needs to speak. Or not. She's not.
It's totally up to spec. This is a safe space, but remember it's being recorded, and obviously the recording will go out to the people that couldn't attend. So only speak if you feel comfortable to speak. Bex.
You are muted, Bex, but just to say to everyone else, there will be a point at the end where we stop the recording. So if you have any personal questions or personal shares or anything to say to each other, then you will get that extra safe space at the end, if that makes sense. So take a note or pop something in the chat or whatever it is so that you don't forget. Hit it, Bex.
I think one massive thing is this time last year I wouldn't have been talking and I wouldn't have had my video on. It was it's weird because I'd say from I'm the opposite end of the scale from where I was last year to where I am now. But then my knowledge has grown so much. I also realise I'm not actually at the end. I'm a tiny step in, and there's so much more to go.
Yeah. The more we know, the less we know.
Yeah, definitely.
Great journey, though. It's a really great journey. Enjoy every step.
Yeah. And there is no 10. You know, this scale of 0 to 10 is just a parameter. And as you beautifully said there, Bex, the further along your journey you get, the further away that 10 gets, because you learn more and you know more. And as Helen said, you realise there's so much more to know.
I am the most authentic version of myself I have ever been, but I also still feel like, shit, there's so much to learn and know, and there's no way I'm at the 8, 9s or 10s, but this is the most authentic version of myself I have ever been.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Moment, go on, sorry, Polly.
I was just saying, can I ask everybody a question? And this is that some days I feel so on it, it's on point. And then another day, like today, I'm thinking, really? And I kind of have to have a reality check, and I have to have somebody to give me an injection boost sometimes, because just on the odd quip, I get that feeling of, well, really, I'm doing it all the time, but why am I still actually here at the moment in this place, and it's kicked me hard today. Why is that? Does anybody else feel like that?
100%. And when I
really?
Yeah, when I work with clients, or I teach hypnotherapy as well, and I get this a lot with my students, when I'm working with them, I always say to them, it's an onion. Just think of it as an onion, and we're peeling away layers. But sometimes you come back to a layer that you've peeled before, but you just got to heal it deeper. And that's what it is. It's just, and sometimes it is the universe giving us a chance to heal that deeper. So putting us in a situation it's put us in before, or I know Helen and I have spoke about this a lot this week, because it's encountering the same people and over again, and you can move halfway around the world and people can remind you of people from back home, and I know I'll let Helen talk into this as well, because I know she's had similar experiences this week of people showing up in different bodies, the same archetypes, to teach you a lesson and help you to learn it deeper and deal with things differently. But yeah, absolutely not alone. 100% it reoccurs. All healing reoccurs, and there are days when you just feel like you've been kicked by a donkey.
I think for me,
one of the things that actually I've asked myself is, am I not hearing spirit in the right way? Are they kind of saying, I'm bringing you back here because you didn't bloody listen last time, and actually open your eyes and have a look here because you still haven't seen it? And I feel like I've moved on, and they go, well, oi, get back here, because it just feels to me it's a bit like that. And I'm thinking, what?
We literally had this conversation today, Polly. Me and Lisa literally had this conversation today. And a part of it, I think, is the ebb and flow of life. And I think that when we go hard, we're in flow, and then we'll get to the point in our cycle or the moon cycle or whatever's going on energetically in the world, and all of a sudden we need rest and recovery, but we don't take it because, you know, we're still going on this hamster wheel, whether we like to admit it or not. So when we're kind of forcing, instead of flowing, we're forcing, and then all of a sudden we question everything because we're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this for? What am I missing? Where's the lesson? And I think you're absolutely right. But then I also think that we are always given opportunities. We're always given opportunities to make the right choice, consistently make the right choice. We're given the opportunity to grow. We're given the opportunity to actually recognize how far we've grown, because there would have been times when we would have thrown the towel in and been like, fuck it, I'm not doing it. But equally, actually, to stand in our ground and be like, I just need to ride this through. Just that kind of recognition of self. But 100% know where you're at. We had this conversation today, the exact thing. And I actually feel like me and Lisa have the conversation in a cycle. I feel like we do this, and then we'll probably in 4 or 5 weeks we'll have the exact same conversation of like, we're having one of them weeks, we've just been massively tested, or we should, like Lisa said, I feel like you're shown the same kind of people to see if you've learned the lesson, or to see how far you've grown, or
and if you can do it differently. Sharon's just dropped something in. I've learned that sometimes I move forward and sometimes I fall a step back. So some days I'm a 5 and some days I'm a 3 or a 1, but I no longer beat myself up about it. And I'm looking for a pattern to see if I can recognize what it is that pulls me backwards so that I can work.
That is exactly, really, I was probably getting to that point. And you do have to do a rain check on yourself, but it's not about beating yourself up. It's being realistic.
Yeah.
Can I just pipe in here? And this might be a bit, maybe not controversial, but I don't believe we can go backwards. And I say this all the time, is that the moments when we feel like we're going backwards is just stillness. And we just need to accept the stillness, because we're so, when we're in flow, it feels like everything's going right, like the sun's shining, the postman comes, like everything's just nice. We say morning to the lady down the street, we see a gorgeous butterfly, the internet's working, like everything seems to be working in our favor, so it's smooth as hell. And then there's the times where we feel like we're being pulled backwards, but actually it's just a comparison to feeling like we're in flow. For me, that's stillness. And for me, it's important that we have stillness. It's important we get comfortable with stillness and we accept stillness, because in stillness is where we get most of our answers. In stillness is when we ask the important questions. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And then the next day we wake up and think, fuck yeah, I'm full of fire. Or we go, what am I doing this for? Where's the meaning? Who am I doing this for? And for me, that's not about being backwards. That's moments of stillness, and that's when the clarity comes. And I think if we can view that as, this is my check-in point, and this is where I'm here, and accept I'm going to be in flow and then I'm going to slow down, it's kind of that we have to, because to speed up we need to know we're going at the right place. We need that clarity and we need that fire. We cannot be in flow 24/7 full of fire. We have to rest, we have to recover, we have to have stillness. But my thing is, I don't believe we can ever go backwards. How can we unlearn what we've learned? How can we, and I get it, it feels like that arrow thing, it feels like we're being pulled back. But for me, it's just stillness. And when we think about stillness brings answers and clarity, we see that as an important part of our cycle. We can be more accepting of it, and we can even learn to love it.
And from an energetic point, go on, Polly.
One of the things that I think you're spot on, and I like that analogy, because that is correct in my view. But also, we don't have a measuring stick, do we? You know, when you've got a child and they grow 6 inches and you mark it on the wall, and they grow 4 inches and they mark it on the wall, we don't have that growth stick, do we? And we forget how far we have come, even in the matter of a month. And I read about a gratitude journal recently, and I thought, you know, that's a really nice way of kind of gathering and feeling good, and you can flick back on that gratitude pages that you've written, and it kind of gives you a bit of a measure of all the nice things that's happened and the things that you've done, or not oh, I'm really grateful, but it's kind of giving you a measure of, you did something really nice that day and somebody was happy, or you were grateful because you got a knock on the door from somebody that you hadn't seen anybody for 3 weeks. And so it's not a measure as such, but it helps to, I suppose, give you an awareness of the things that are coming in from where you've been. Does that make sense?
One of my old mentors.
And one of
Get excited.
let me just get this out and then I'll go back to you.
Gratitude journal, and I saw Helen's face. I was like,
one of the, sorry, I forgot I was going to say. You go, Helen.
Okay. I never forget. Okay, gratitude journal, yes, 100%. Oh, there's fireworks going off. Love gratitude journal, and you're right. For me, it's keeping a journal as well, like a journal of your challenges, a journal of your wins and all that jazz, because a mentor once said to me, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and this stuck with me, the most educational book you will ever read is your own journal. Because we can take all the information from other people's books and other people's learnings, but your biggest learnings will come from your own journey, and actually looking back on, hey, God, 3 years ago, this was how my mindset was. This is where I was at. And the reason that I purposefully said to Rachel and Bex, because I've done a lot of work with them this year about going back to where they were at last year, is so that you can see the growth. And I think that that's so important, because we rarely stop and go, well done, look how much I've grown, because we don't see it. We're in it, we're living it. But externally, like, especially for Rachel and Bex and the work that I've seen them do this year, I'm like, geez, you two are at, like, the growth is incredible. And I think that's it. If we can find ways, you're right, to track our growth in this kind of adult world that we're living in, for me, it's journaling and keeping a log of the wins, the challenges that we've overcome, and the things that we're grateful for. So yeah, awesome. Thanks for bringing that up.
I found a card. Sorry. I'll take control. It's all right. I found a card the other day, because I've moved not so long ago, but I found a card up in my room, and I read it, and it was a list of all the things I wanted in my life, and I've got them all.
Yeah.
And I must have wrote that 4 or 5 years ago when I was not in a very good place. It's like, what I wish for. And obviously I've put it out there, and it's now come back to me, and I've got it all. And I've just sat with my mouth open, and I thought, my God, I can't believe that. But that is true. So you know what? When you put it out there and you leave it to the universe, it works in a wonderful way.
Yeah,
100%. And what I was going to say earlier on was, you can't ungrow. So we're on this journey of growth, and you cannot ungrow. You can't. A plant doesn't ungrow. It continues its journey. Sometimes energetically, it can feel like you go backwards, because the energy can pull you into an emotion, and that emotion can take you back to a memory or a thought that makes you feel like you're going backwards on your journey, but you're not. It's just, again, that layer, that healing. And accepting that, as you said, and moving on is the best way to keep going along this growth journey. One of the biggest things for me is looking at trees. A tree, one that loses its leaves in the winter, doesn't ever worry that it's not going to get its leaves back, because it knows it's just a cycle. And when it's at the top, there's no trees and it's bare underneath, the roots are growing deeper into the earth. It's becoming more rooted, more centered in itself. So when we lose our leaves, when we think we've gone backwards, but we haven't, actually our feet and our rooting is going deeper so that we can grow further. So yeah, thank you so much. In terms of 3/4 of the way through the year and where you are, it's completely natural to feel like we go forwards and go backwards, even though we're not, because we can't ungrow. We can't be less than we were. I'm going to hand you over to Helen now to do her dream wheel.
Cool. So we're just going to do a slimmed down version of my dream wheel activity. For those of you that have worked with me before, you'll know this, but it's great to do a refresher. Okay, so if you've got pen and paper, I am going to ask you, we're just going to draw a cross like this. So just a little, it's a slim version, this one.
This will be really interesting to compare to August.
And even prior to that, Rich, I think we've done it in...
Yeah, we did it like in March or April even, I think it was.
Yeah. And again, this is another great tool. So I probably do this monthly, just to see where I'm at. And I think sometimes when I feel overwhelmed, it's a great tool to see how great my life is, if that makes sense. Or the areas that I need to work on equally. Okay, so what I want you to do is at the end of each of the spikes here, I want you to pick an area of your life that's important to you. So we've only got 4 areas today. So it could be like health, wealth, success, happiness, if you want to go on a real broad scale, or you could really drill down into romantic relationship, friendship, career, personal development, spiritual connection, religion, anything. So I need you to pick 4 areas of your life. And again, you can go real high up scale because we've only got 4 areas, and pick success, wealth, health, happiness, or go down, drill down to like family, work, giving back, travel. I mean, is anyone really traveling right now? When I used to do this like 3 years ago, travel was like on there, it was important, and I was like, I need to get that higher up because that's important to me. And now I'm just like, I'm not even putting it on. Not right yet. Not right now. Okay, so pick 4 areas of your life that's important to you, and recognize that actually this might look different. The thing is, when we grow, so like I've just said there, my dream wheel from 3 years ago would look very different to now, because my priorities are very different. As we grow, some shit falls off and we pull some new stuff in, which is cool. Just being accepting of every part of our journey is key. And when we've got the 4 areas, does anyone need any help choosing the 4 areas? Are we all cool? We good?
I did 8.
Yeah. Oh.
Just because I did 8 last time.
I'm sure. Okay, cool. So for those of you that haven't done the task before, that's a nice book, Rich. Where did you get that from?
It's got all my Authentically You notes in, actually, so it's very, very...
in the middle of where the crosses meet. My camera's not great, so I'm just going to be as descriptive as possible. Where the crosses meet, this is 0. And each end of the stick is 10. And I want you to take each area that you've chose. So if you've chose family, I want you to rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. For me, 10 is like you're absolutely living the dream. This area couldn't get any better. And 0 is, yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do. And mark off, just put a little cross on each line of where you are in that area. I would say don't overthink it. Our conscious brain will try to take control and justify everything. Just go with, pick it off. You okay there, Bex?
Yeah, I've got my Authentically You notebook as well. I'm just looking what I did last time.
Don't look what you did last time.
I know.
Do it and then look.
No, I've already done it. So now I'm comparing.
All right, okay. I didn't know. Don't spoil it.
And I think the thing is with this, it's so important that we are accepting whatever the results are. So yeah, these might drop. So actually, if I had finance 2 years ago, it would look very different to finance now. And it's kind of being accepting whether that goes up or that goes down. And it's just a check-in. It's a great visual to be like, okay, this score's lower than I thought it was going to be. What can I do to improve it? Or actually, look at that. Like my family scores a 9. So I'm not really that arsed that my travel scores a 7, because we're having a great time as a family without all them holidays that we used to have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance is key. This isn't about judgment, beating ourselves up. I need to do better. I'm not enough and all that jazz. This is about an actual visual of where we are. And then I would say for each area, each of your 4 points, ask yourself, am I happy with how this looks? If the answer's no, think about, okay, what one action can I do to move this score up 1? I'm not asking you to pick something that's going to move you from a 2 to a 10, but actually if I'm at a 2, what one thing can I do that will improve my score to a 3? So for me, if it was family and I was at 5 because I'd been real busy and not spent time with the kids, I could be like, okay, Sunday, I'm going to take the kids to the park, and I know that that's going to bump my family score up to a 6 because we'll have spent some time together. Then we'll watch a movie, put the fire on, have Sunday dinner. It's going to be lush. Does that make sense?
Can I come?
Well, I don't really want to share my dinner, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, you can. Only if you push me on the swings. Get the log burner and we'll watch Christmas movies, eh?
We have to watch the exact same Christmas movies every single year. It's like a tradition now. If you don't watch Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, it's not even Christmas. Or Elf.
That's it. And the Grinch, and
Mulled cider.
So, has anybody got any questions on the Dream Wheel activity, either as a whole or understanding it, or how you can...
it to the...
Okay.
I think it takes the stress out of the worry of trying to achieve the 8 points up to 10 if you're only on a 2. And maybe that's one of the things that causes anxiety, is looking at too much of the bigger picture and trying to fix it all in one go overnight. Whereas this is a reality check to say, take one thing, do that, feel accomplished with that, and then re-rate it and do something different again, and it's like little tiny steps make the big change.
And that's it. It's that when we're feeling overwhelmed, what one thing can I do? Okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
What's the one next thing I can do? And what we find is that actually there's a domino effect. So if you pick one area, there's a good chance that area will have a knock-on effect. We'll feel differently about everything. And I think that's it. It's about just focusing on the one next thing, not being overwhelmed, because it's so easy when we're like, everything feels like it's shit. Everything's going wrong. I'm having a bad day. I don't know what the hell I'm doing in my life. Get it down on paper, get it on your dream wheel, assess every area and be like, not as bad as I thought. Or actually, it isn't that great, but what one thing can I do for one area? Okay, what's the next thing I'm going to do? What's the next thing I'm going to do? And actually make a logical strategy, because the only reason we get overwhelmed is when we don't have a strategy.
Have you ever considered that this is also a bit of a law of attraction as well?
Yeah, you're putting it out there. Yeah.
Because what you've done is you've taken the shit out and the negative side's gone, and you're looking how to improve and the positive action that you've taken. And that's actually going to come back, so that you're feeling it out and pulling it back in, and feeding it out, pulling it back in. Because what we give out, we attract, don't we? So it's another way actually for law of attraction, to be honest. I think that's really clever.
And it's bringing you back into the moment. If you're only focusing on the one next thing, by only focusing on the next thing that you're going to do, you're not making the picture too big. It's achievable. It's the next step, and then the next step after that. And if you remove the expectation of how that looks like, it removes the anxiety, because a lot of our anxiety is in the expectation. The expectation of how things should be, not as things are.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. And there's no need to judge. This is just about being real, open and accepting, and quite matter of fact, actually. Often when we're lost in that overwhelm, it's most of that bullshit narrative stories that we're telling ourselves. You can't really argue with the dream wheel. It's quite the logical side of our brain going, this is it, okay? Whereas actually when we're in overwhelm, we're creating all these problems, and most of it, it's just in our head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Lise.
Yeah, so what I'd like you to just explore, after the lovely dream reel, is I just want you to think of one thing that is holding you back right now from being your authentic self.
Just one thing.
Just one thing, and then write that as a sentence. One thing that's holding you back from being your authentic self.
We should play some kind of bingo so everyone gets the same answer for this one. Like,
I'm going to say the fear of failure.
Fear of failure, yeah. Bex, Rachel, do you want to share? You don't have to. Sharon, please drop in if you feel comfortable to in the chat.
Mine is the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Bex.
fear.
Mine was just fear.
Yeah. So what I was going to bring it all back to is that everything in terms of what holds us back stems from fear. It's from that emotion, fear. And when we're in that fear emotion, usually that is just before we make a really significant breakthrough. But first and foremost, I just want you to put a line next to what yours is, your sentence and the fear. And I just want you to, for a moment, explore, where did that come from? Where does this fear of failure come from? Where does this fear of the unknown come from? Don't overthink it. Just take a moment, take a few deep breaths, drop into your heart, drop into your gut, drop into your intuition, and just think, is there a thought, is there a feeling, is there a memory or a sentence or someone else's voice where this fear comes from?
Did I tell you my new quote around this that I created and I should really trade now?
No, go on.
I have a bit of an issue with the feel the fear and do it anyway, because that feels forceful. And we're not about force, we're about flow. So I changed it to feel the fear and be brave anyway, because that feels empowering.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%.
Feel the fear and be brave anyway. That feels like, yes, I'm being brave, not feel the fear and do it anyway, because it feels like I'm ignoring the fear, I'm just forcing it.
Yeah. And that's what bravery is, isn't it? Feeling the fear and leaning into it. So when you've got that, if you've got a thought or a feeling or a memory that's come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to explore that at the end? After
I'll
we
explain it now. I think it's because when I was very young, my dad wasn't attentive. He was kind of, I always felt in the way. And so I suppose whatever I did, I wanted to do it right because I wanted his attention. And I suppose the fact was, if I didn't do it enough or well enough or right enough, then it would be wrong. Yeah. So I think that's where that comes from, really. If I'm truthful, I've not really thought about that before, but yeah, that's the earliest. It resonates with me, and it was like that all my life, you know. And he wasn't the most attentive man of men, and he wasn't that affectionate. And I can't remember him ever being proud of me, although he said to others that he was, but he never told me. Yeah. So as I got into my teens, I became a rebellious little cow. I did. I know I was.
Yeah, the wild woman out.
From the age of 14, I kicked back, which was the opposite way, which was the opposite of trying to be great and perfect and right and not wanting to do it wrong. And, you know, if I do it wrong, then, oh, what am I going to do? Because he won't like me any more than he does now, you know, and all that sort of going on.
So what's an empowerment statement? A statement of empowerment and healing that you can give to young Polly that you're also giving to yourself, Polly, now. You're feeling that fear, you're understanding where it's coming from. You're recognizing that it's not yours, it was gifted to you from your dad. What can you give younger Polly and yourself? and write that.
I think I need to do some work on that.
Yeah.
And the understanding is actually that it didn't exist. It was how it was perceived.
Yeah.
And that perception wasn't wrong in what I saw, but it was wrong in what I misunderstood.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Because he did worship me, but he didn't show me. And I think that's the key for me. So maybe I need to do some work on my inner child on that and broker that a little bit. That's quite useful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. And we always see things as we are, not as they are. And as our younger selves, that's even amplified to the max, because we're seeing things from a child's view, and then as an adult, we're feeling it and seeing it from the pain of the child's view.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go with that. Yeah.
It's tricky. Rachel, Bex, would you like to share anything? Please don't if you don't want to. And obviously this is going out to everybody, so if you'd like to say something at the end, do.
I'm happy to share. Fear of the unknown is always because I'm worried about how I feel after making a mistake. So in the past, if I've made a mistake or I've done something and regretted it, it's the fear of regret as well. So I've always needed others' approvals in a way, and I've always been kind of shown what to do. So I've never really been in charge of my own life and making my own choices. So that scares me, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Again, what empowerment statement, what statement of healing could you give to yourself and to younger Rachel, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that regret is just an emotion that we can feel and we can release. It's holding on to it that brings in all the others of the shame and the guilt that come with that.
Well, I'm in charge of my own life.
Yeah.
No one else is in charge. I control how I feel. Nobody else should control how I feel.
Yeah. And feelings we can't actually control, but we can just feel them, allow ourselves to experience them, and then let them go.
Yeah.
It's about giving yourself permission as well, isn't it? To feel empowered that you've attempted something new. And although it was a difficult transition for you to make, you've actually taken a step forward to do it. And you need to feel really proud of yourself.
Well, I am at the minute, because I'm taking big steps at the minute. So I know at the minute I am doing
well. There you go.
Yeah.
That is there. Treat yourself to a new nail polish or a new lipstick, or, whatever it is that you can give yourself a little reward. That's brilliant. Well done.
And so Sharon shared hers in the comments. The fear I'm just seeing at the moment is that I don't deserve the good things that are waiting for me. I know where this comes from, and I am well into my journey in addressing it, and I've learned that it's okay to be grateful for what you have and still want more or better. Absolutely 100%. And that's very much abundance and the law of attraction. I love what I have right now. I'm so grateful what I have right now, but I also know I deserve and I'm worthy of more things to come to me.
And I think that's important, because I think with where people sometimes go wrong with the gratitude practice is that it means that it's not okay to want more, and that's not it at all. It's being grateful regardless, but actually still desiring more. That's okay, that's acceptable. It's not greedy. We can be grateful for what we have and still desire more. Like we are here to live a life of abundance. Why don't we claim it all? Like, that's okay. I get
100%. So Bex, did you want to share anything?
My fear is all about like letting myself down, not being good enough, being scared of like being judged by other people, being laughed at. And I know it's my kind of lack of self-esteem that holds me back. That's where my fear comes from.
Yeah.
But I found, obviously, like my whole thing has been I'm not good enough forever, and I found I am starting to not believe that anymore in some areas of my life.
Yeah.
Like with my work now, I've just gone through a bad patch, and instead of it just totally knocking me, it knocked me for a couple of days, and then it was like, well, actually, they don't deserve me, and it's not actually my problem, it's their problem.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm good enough, and if they can't see that, I'm just going to go elsewhere.
Oh, Bex, it's making me cry a little bit, like I'm crying. So it really is. It's amazing.
And a really good way for you to focus on those areas that you feel good enough, Beck, is to keep listing where you are good enough. You're good enough everywhere, but for you to start listing the areas where you really feel and believe that you are good enough. And if you can't talk to yourself like that right now, just imagine that you're talking to somebody that you love unconditionally. Should say to them all of the things that you would say to them if they were saying what you are now, and then write it in a letter to yourself with your name.
Yeah.
All of the things you would say to them.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that's kind of the outside stuff I'm beginning to get, but it's all the stuff that really means something to me, that I'm still holding on to that I'm not good enough mentality.
Have you seen, I don't know if I tagged you in it, and I told you all about it a while ago, and I don't know if you would have seen it. Have you seen the one where they bring the people in and they say, what do you think of yourself? And they put all this negative thing, and then they have to say it to the siblings, and they can't.
Wow.
Oh, did you put that in our group?
Yeah, ages ago. I can't think what it was now, but they had to say it to the siblings, but they couldn't say it, because if you don't say it to them, why would you say it to yourself?
Yeah, and that's it. Our inner critic is so ingrained, and to be honest, a lot of that is societal, because when we do praise ourselves as children, when we do think we're amazing, there's already someone telling us to be humble.
Who does she think she is?
Yeah, there's always somebody pulling other people down for being their confident selves. So we learn to go into our shell like a tortoise. Go on, Polly.
I'm going to tell you a story, and this is true, and it's funny. I was in a very bad place not so long ago. My mum came to stay, and she gave me a picture. And I imagine this picture of a woman, shoulders, torso up, and it's a caricature drawing, and her eyes are lopsided, and she's got a funny squiggly nose and a crinkled mouth, and her hair's all over the place. And I looked at this picture, and I felt quite, first, my instant reaction was I was quite appalled. I thought, really? And underneath it says, because I'm worth it. Now, I looked at my mum, my face must have been a picture of saying, really? You're giving me this? And she said, when you were younger, that was your favourite phrase. You said that all the time. And I said, I never did. She said, you did. She said, you used to live by that phrase. Now, I can't ever imagine me saying that, but I obviously did. Now, I put that picture on my staircase wall. And for a long time, I couldn't even look at that picture because of the words that said, because I'm worth it. But as things got a little better, I started to look at that picture every day. And then I suddenly found myself saying one day, because you're worth it. And I whispered it. But now I come down the stairs and go, do you know what, girl? Because you're bloody worth it. You really are. Right. And I will stand in the mirror looking at all the bulges and go, you're a catch, girl. Do you know what? You're so worth it. And it took a long time for me. And that is a really true story. So I can go wholehearted with what is it Beth has just said, because, you know, I mirror where you are. I generally do. But something as simple as that picture, looking at that every day, really kind of helped me become able to say that phrase. And I don't know if that's of any help to anybody, but it certainly did help me. I'm not saying go out and find a crinkly head, you know, squat-eyed picture, but, you know, it was a statement. And I look at that and think, you know, nobody's perfect, nothing's perfect, but my God, I am worth it. Does that make sense? The whole thing was an epitome of what I felt at the time, but it still is, because I am bloody worth it, you know? And so I say it with a lot of drive now, not because I'm big-headed, but because it empowers me.
Yeah,
because you're worth it.
And being worth it doesn't make us big-headed, does it?
Everybody's worth it. Everybody's worth it.
Yeah,
Everybody's got a jewel. everybody's worth it. It really is an empowering statement, actually. But when you get used to saying it and you feel comfortable with it, my goodness me, it's great, actually. It's
and
really
imagine
great.
living in a world where everybody felt good enough. How differently people would interact. Just that shift, it would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So yes, you are all good enough and more than enough, and you are all worth it. I love that. Thank you. So it's just finding that heart center. It's finding that love even in the fear, and it's not as Helen said, trying to diminish the fear or pretend that we don't have it. You know, those that know me know that I was a primary school teacher, and I would always talk to the children about being brave isn't about a lack of fear. We all have fear. So when we say, I'm frightened, so I'm a coward, or I'm frightened, so I give myself a hard time, fear is perfectly natural and normal. And quite often, fear is when we're just, I like to think of it as, because obviously energy is my thing, when you're pushing against something and you just feel that kind of resistance or that bounce there and back, the fear is where you are to that next level, that next step. And it's just that momentary resistance before we lean in. And it's just accepting it and then leaning into it and thinking, I'm going to lean in with the fear and the not knowing what's on the other side, and accepting that it's okay to feel frightened in that moment. But shower yourself with love, which will rain down rainbows on the fear. Thank you very, very much. Any area of your life where that comes up, where you think there's something that's holding you back, do the same thing. Just go into it. Where does that come from? Is it helpful? Is it mine? And then try and find a way to show that love and turn that statement around. Is there anything you would like to add on that, Helen, before I move on?
No, got it covered.
Okay, so what we're going to give to you all, and anybody who is listening on the replay, is we're going to send out some quantum healing. We have a little quantum healing device, and we're going to send it out to balance your divine inner goddess feminine energy, because that is the energy that is awakening right now. It's all, you know, this age of Aquarius. It's being okay with our femininity and knowing that those soft feminine sides of us that even as girls and women, we've been told to toughen up, don't be too sensitive, don't be too much. It's actually really, really important. So we're going to send off some distant quantum healing. It's an activation into that, which helps to balance those frequencies within. If there's anybody that doesn't want to receive it, you won't receive it. It only works within the quantum field, and if you are willing to accept that, it will come to you. If you don't, you won't. So even if you're watching this on replay and that's something that you don't want to bring into you, it absolutely won't, but it will help to balance those energies within us and continue to align to that frequencies that's reverberating around the earth. Does anyone have any questions about that? I want to ask anything, or just want to share anything on the divine feminine?
Yeah.
Go on, Polly.
Yeah, I don't know really. I just distance healing. Obviously, I'm a Reiki healer.
Yeah.
But I haven't practiced distance healing for quite a while, to be honest. So it'll be it's just re-injecting me, I think.
This excites me for my level 2. Mm-hmm.
You will love it. You will absolutely love it, Rachel. There is energy is just unbelievable, and I don't think we even have scratched the surface on what we can do with it and the potentiality of it. I just get this like fire in my tummy and so excited about what the world will look like in 100 and 150 years, even though I won't be here to see it. I just think how medicine will look in the future is going to be fantastic. It's going to be around nutrition. It's going to be around energy. It's going to be around prevention and working with ourselves. So yeah, it's very exciting. before we go on to our lovely closing meditation, we have our Authentically You in-person retreats coming up on the 23rd and 24th of October and the 20th and 21st of November. Usual price for that is £555. For anyone that has attended this or is watching the replay, there's a one-time offer of £299. For those of you that aren't local, it's in North Yorkshire, which is it's about 5 minutes away from Gisborough, if anybody knows where Gisborough is. If you feel like you would really like to delve further into your authentic self but wouldn't make it to an in-person event, we do have our online light version of Authentically You that you can work through in your own time. Obviously, you have Helen and I through the Red Tent on Facebook, so if you did have any questions, you can always come to us through that. We have a one-time offer for this of £55 to work through that inner work yourself at your own space and your own speed. Does anyone have any questions around that? Would you like to know more? Obviously, Bex and Rachel, you've done this. You did it with us in August.
It's 100% worth every penny you pay, because it just opens you up to new possibilities. It connects you with people that you didn't think you connect with. It's amazing.
What's amazing is that Helen and I are actually on point in terms of time.
Oh, that is amazing.
We haven't gone over yet. Oh, but thank you, Rachel. Yeah, we absolutely love it. We perhaps may again do it online at some point. We did initially start this as an online because we birthed it as an in-person retreat. Then lockdown hit, so we did it online 3 times and then got excited to do it in person. So if you are interested in doing it, but you wouldn't make an in-person retreat, do let us know, and we may put some dates out for an online one again. If you sign up within the next 48 hours, you will get our You Are Enough course, which I believe is $29.99 on its own. Again, this is a self-study course to work through with a meditation stroke activation that you will just listen to every day to activate that you are enough within you. And finally, closing meditation. Then I'll stop the recording and you can ask any questions and we can just have a nice little space. Okay, so just get yourself nice and comfortable.
You might need to prompt me to wake up after this one.
I'm just going to mute you all, but not myself. That's my favourite trick to do. And I just would invite you to close your eyes and just take a moment to be here. Just take a moment to allow and accept any new learning, anything that's arisen from being in this space tonight. There may be things bubbling up that you haven't been aware of before, and there may not be, but just take a moment to accept exactly where you are right now. Take a deep breath in. And I want you just for a moment to see a figure in front of you. A version of you. A month, 3 months, a year in the future. A version of you standing in that authenticity. Standing in your power. I'd like you to just take a moment to imagine that you, as you are now, are rooting yourself deep into the earth, and that you are calling back all of your power, all of your energy, from across time and space to fully align to who you are in this moment now and going forward. And just as a tree, deep roots into the earth so that it can grow stronger. This is what you are doing now. You are rooting into your authenticity. Rooting into your authentic self. And as a consequence of that deep rooting into who you are across all of time and all of space and all lifetimes, just feel yourself blossom. Just like a tree. This is your spring. Feel that authenticity rise up from your roots, up through your body, out through your shoulders and your head and your arms. And just experience the wonder and the magic of that. Knowing that even in your times of winter, you are enough. You have everything you need. You just have to remember to come home, to reroute, and to trust in who you are, and to trust in that authenticity. Because you are amazing. So feeling this powerful tree that you are, just take another look at this version of you in front of you, your authentic self. And I want you to open your arms and welcome yourself in. Merging with your authentic self. Being who you are and who you were born to be. In this moment, in this space, and across all of space and time. I just want you to think, loving you always. Loving you always. Loving you always. And whenever you're ready, you can just imagine those roots coming back into yourself, knowing that you remain rooted to the earth, rooted to yourself. And in your own time, you can just draw your attention back to your body, feel the support of what you're sitting on. Wriggling your parts of your body, and in your own time just opening your eyes and coming back to this space. If there's anything you want to write down or dump, do that now. Take a drink of water, which will bring you back. And that just brings to an end this workshop. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching this on replay, thank you for watching this on replay. I'm going to end the recording here. And then if there's anything that you all want to share or discuss, we can do that. So bear with me while I just stop the recording.